Hey guys, I ended up making this video simply to elaborate more on sensitivity as well as include what sensitivity style works for your playstyle. On top, I will be showing off how to train up while using ACOG as well as display what attachments work for each playstyle, then end off with how to use Terrasun to improve your aim and accuracy. So, in general, there are two types of playstyles used by most High Plat and Diamond players on PS4. I'm going to be the second playstyle, but the first I'm going to mention is High H and V. So this is when your horizontal and vertical sensitivity are going to be higher than your ADS. Typically, players rolling high H and V would keep their settings around 60 plus H and 50 plus for V, while keeping their ADS around 25 to 50. The playstyle that follows is somebody who likes to keep a full view on everything. Then they typically would go ADS, or they would typically go through the map non-ADS and scope down while firing when they are about to get into a gunfight or when holding an angle. This works pretty well for if you're just starting out and you want to have high accuracy, because then you don't have to worry about the corners as much and you could keep a full view. So definitely great ADS for, or definitely a great sensitivity for newer players. While the second type, which is the one I'm using, is having decent or lower horizontal and vertical sensitivity while having a high ADS. Pretty much the type of players that do this are trying to match up their ADS with their horizontal so that the viewing between them are really close. So when I aim down sights, it's pretty much the same sensitivity as my horizontal. So it's like I'm aiming the same way around. So when typically doing this, people tend to go for an H around 40 to 60 with a vertical about 10 to 20 under the horizontal and having an ADS of about 5 to 15 over their horizontal, depending on where your horizontal is at. If you're 40, it may be best to have ADS around 45, 60, you may want 70, etc., etc. Really up to you. Otherwise, typically this playstyle would involve being in ADS a good majority of the time, and it's more recommended for players that have top tier map knowledge and know where to aim their sights when they're popping corners. Only time you would want to be out of sight is for general movement or when you are safe. Many players that use this type of playstyle will get what are called flick kills. This is pretty much where they're not aiming on the head and they flick straight to the head. Makes it look kind of like they're using aimbot. If you watch Noted, you will see this a lot, or if you watch Serenity, you'll see him just flick onto people's heads and kill them.
No, but as if, what's it called? She still got the interrogation.
So yeah, this is my personal play style. For sure, I find it easier than the high horizontal vertical flow ADS play style. But in general, I suggest test both. It's really up to you. You could use my sensitivity if you want. Completely up to you, or you can try something else. But yeah, so okay, so looking at the attachments, as far as sights go, it's really up to you. Right now, I would say my least favorite is the reflex, simply because the update made it all blurry. Not sure if they plan to fix that or not. Otherwise, red dot's pretty good, but holographic is always going to remain my favorite. There are certain guns that cannot use holographic and that cannot use ACOG, so in that case, when there's only reflex or red dot, I go for red dot just because it doesn't have that blurry sight. Um, Otherwise, as far as grips go, it really depends on your playstyle. If you like rolling the high H and V playstyle with low ADS, I would suggest angled grip, because then you'd be able to scope down on people's faces faster. And if you like to be the high ADS type of person, you might want to go for vertical grip just to reduce recoil. Otherwise, we have two options, going for either burst or going for either full auto. So we have burst. Burst would be where in general you shoot 2 to 4 bullets and stop for a bit to let the aim readjust. This works better for high ADS players simply because the high ADS makes the recoil compensation very strict on your joystick. In general, you would try to use muzzle brake when possible, but for the guns that do not have muzzle brakes, simply go flash hider, as it reduces the vertical recoil. Next would be full auto, where you are pretty much shooting 5+ rounds per spray. This typically fits the high H&V because you can easily adjust your vertical recoil since you have a lower ADS. It makes the joystick less strict on your recoil management. So in general, you'd want to go for the compensator so you don't have as much horizontal scatter, and instead it's just more straight vertical so you could just hold down easily. And if not compensator, you go for muzzle brake. So pretty much up to you. Note muzzle brake will actually bounce back down to its initial spot faster than any other muzzle attachment, so keep that in mind. That's pretty much it for that. You note you can burst as a high HV player or you could full auto as a high ADS player. It's just the fire types that I mentioned kind of fit the roles better and will be easier for those roles to do what I mentioned. Otherwise, you could burst as high HMV or you can be a full as a high ADS. Depending on the gun I use, I'll go full or I'll go burst. For example, Ash's gun, I like to go full most of the time, where for a gun like the Vector, I like to burst. So, moving on to ACOG, as you may know, almost all seasoned players run ACOG when possible. Reason being is that the 2.5 zoom allows easier shots from distance while also granting easier headshots when closer to your opponent. In general, I would avoid ACOG if you are just starting up the game. Wait to learn all the maps before you begin picking up ACOG. Another note is ACOG can get hectic when you are a good 5 meters away from your enemy. For some weapons, it may be better to just hit fire and hope for the best. Otherwise, when using ACOG, try your best to play the distance. So to easily integrate yourself into using ACOG, there are 3 characters. You got Sledge, Hibana, and Echo. And the reason only these 3 work is because they have machine pistols, which you can use as pretty much your primary with a hollow sight while you run your primary with a ACOG sight. And what your plan here is to pretty much run through the map with the machine pistol out, and when you feel like you can utilize the ACOG or you're gonna peek down a long hallway, then you could switch out to your ACOG and begin using that. This simply creates the flow of your ACOG and will like transition you into using ACOG more and more, and by doing this you'll see yourself be able to get long easy shots while also having the opportunity of getting close shots with the holographic. And as you do this more and more, you'll easily find the L85 for Sledge at least to be a lot easier to get kills than using his machine pistol. But that really depends on which gun you prefer too. Some people really like the SMG-11 like me, so I just run shotgun with the SMG-11. Otherwise, for the other 2, got Hibana. She's got a pretty nice AR. Runs kind of like Ash's. Maybe a slight bit more recoil, but a lower capacity. So you got to keep that in mind too. However, the machine pistol I would say is probably a little bit better than the SMG-11 in my personal opinion. And then Echo also has a pretty decent MP5. Works pretty much like Mute's MP5K or Rook's MP5. Instead of having muzzle brake or any of those options, though, you just get a silencer, which kind of screws with it a little bit. Otherwise, it's not too bad. Just use this as your ACOG and then this as your primary until you adjust more to ACOG. Otherwise, let's get into how to get a custom and use your new higher or lower sensitivity depending on how you changed it, and increase your overall aim as well as headshots. So to set this up, pretty much you're going to go to your options and you're going to go to video. Make sure your VSync is off. If you have it on, your terrorist hunt will lag up big time. Next, go to controls. Make sure your aim assist is off. This is only applied in terrorist hunt, so by keeping it on, you are just screwing yourself. So pretty much keep it on. Next, adjust your sensitivity how you want. I'm just going to keep mine the same for the example I show later on. And yeah, then go back to gameplay, matchmaking preferences. Scroll down to get to Terrorist Hunt. Keep only Terrorist Hunt Classic on. You can do Extract Hostage or Disarm Bomb if you want, but I find that you get the most kills and in the quickest manner through Terrorist Hunt Classic. It's just going to be the fastest. And then on top, you could disable any maps that you don't generally like. For example, say I don't like Yacht, turn off Yacht. But I'm pretty much fine with having all the maps on. Some maps might be a little bit harder to run through than others. For example, Bartlett is very open, so pushing a room, you'll easily have 3 enemies shooting at you once you enter the doorway. So you may want to turn that off. Completely up to you. Otherwise, once you're all done getting it set up, just run Terrorist Hunt normal. If you feel like you can go hard, but I like to go normal and just kind of play casually and go through with my current playstyle. Your goal here is to increase your aim as much as possible or put your playstyle under as much stress as possible. So in general, faster runs equals better training. Otherwise, some things to note. Watch out for bombers. There's 2 of these on normal and I believe 3 on realistic. Not completely sure about that. Be ready for a bunch of flashbangs to come your way. You'll hear them hit the floor and then boom, they'll just flash. If you run a silencer, it means the enemies won't track you, so that may be a good option if you feel like you get killed a lot by enemies that just end up running towards you. Otherwise, no silencer means bombers will run towards you from across the map. Enemies will come to you from outside the building as well, so watch out for any doorways as the enemies can jump through them from outside. Be cautious of C4, barbed wires everywhere. AI will occasionally go for random wall bangs, and if you die, it's okay, just rerun until you're comfortable with your aim. Otherwise, I'm going to end this video off with a small clip or 2 of me running Terrorist Hunt so you get a generalization of how to play it. Just know my aim can be potato sometimes too, and the fact that I run this fast and casually rather than in a serious matter may destroy my aim here and there throughout the video. On top, I definitely recommend this to people when starting up Siege for the first time of the day. Definitely gets your aim down so you're ready for ranked. Then you could just jump straight from Terrorist Hunt into ranked instead of doing a couple casuals and saying, you know what, I feel like I'm ready for ranked. Otherwise, this is the best, technically the best way to get renown. Gives you the most renown per hour if you can get 5-minute runs. And that's 5-minute runs. 5 minutes is a long stretch. Typically, I do 2 to 3 minutes tops for Terrorist Hunt. So keep that in mind. A casual takes maybe 15 minutes.
Op 4 eliminated all friendlies.